Hello, everybody. David Shuster here. On those health care subsidies set to expire soon, the Republican House leaders have decided not to even have a vote. That means costs are going to keep skyrocketing. Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson is now getting slammed, even by members of his own party.
House Republican leadership will not allow a vote. It is idiotic and shameful. This place is disgraceful. Everybody wants the upper hand. Everybody wants the political advantage. They don't actually want to do the damn work.
As Politico wrote, absolute bullshit. Endangered House Republican blast leaders over impending Obamacare lapse. The eruptions at Johnson came after the House Speaker in a Capitol Hill news conference confirmed there would be no vote on the Obamacare tax subsidies.
We do have, there's about a dozen members in the conference that are in these swing districts who are fighting hard to make sure that they reduce costs for all of their constituents. And many of them did want to vote on this Obamacare, COVID era subsidy the Democrats created. We looked for a way to try to allow for that pressure release valve, and it just was not to be. We worked on it all the way through the weekend, in fact, and in the end, there was not an agreement.
There was not an agreement. Affordable health care, according to the Speaker, was not meant to be. That means for millions of Americans, health care premiums next month are going to rise dramatically. Recently in the U.S. Senate, Republicans blocked a bill that would have extended the tax credits for 3 years. But Johnson's comments on the House side now seal Republicans' fate in causing the pain many Americans will feel. Millions of Americans will have to choose whether to cough up a lot more money to stay insured or give up coverage entirely. As Larry Levitt, an executive for health policy with KFF, wrote on X, with no extension of enhanced tax credits, ACA enrollees are going to start the year with premium payments increasing by an average of 114% or over $1,000 a year per person. Some will find a way to pay for it. Some have switched to higher deductibles, and some have dropped coverage. More than a dozen House Republicans have been warning Speaker Mike Johnson for weeks that the failure to extend the health care subsidies is political suicide for the GOP.
And all these folks are going to go back home, and you're going to have to look voters in the eye and say we've done nothing while their premiums are going up like $2,000 a month. It's not going to happen. The reality is going to hit here. To me, it's just basic reality. We need a short-term extension, and then let's talk about some deeper reforms.
The Speaker seems dead set against this, though.
Because what he's hearing from a lot of folks, hey, we didn't vote for ACA, we didn't vote for the IRA, this is a Democrat problem, but we're in charge.
How bad do you think this will be for Republicans if you do not extend these subsidies?
I think it will be used like a sledgehammer on us a year from now. The reality will be bad.
For political cover, House Speaker Johnson did hold some votes on a Republican health care package that does not have an extension of the ACA subsidies and does not have any amendments sought by Republican moderates.
Healthcare bill that Johnson says will reduce the cost of healthcare premiums, but it has nothing to do with those tax credits. It would allow them to expire. And that's concerning for some of the more moderate Republicans in his party, particularly those facing difficult elections in the midterm, who say that they need to have a vote on them and that Americans need some relief from the higher premiums that they are already seeing.
House Speaker Johnson and Donald Trump say relief will come from the new health savings accounts Republicans have proposed. But those accounts would only give a $1,500 boost to some families. Health insurance premiums for just a few months of coverage will go up much more than that. And political analysts say the immediate political fallout for Republicans could be severe.
The speaker who has stuck so closely to President Trump, who has said that he prefers health savings accounts as opposed to an extension of ACA subsidies, it squeezes the speaker in a tough spot. It squeezes Republicans in a difficult spot. And it means that they're hamstrung to do anything as they go over this health care cliff at the end of the year. There's two things that could keep this alive going into next year. A, the desire to do something bipartisan. Some Republicans, including John Thune, have said, well, maybe we do something on this in January. At that point, it's too late. Toothpaste out of the tube, as Chuck Schumer was saying yesterday. But then there's also these discharge petitions. There's two of them right now. One is more bipartisan than the other. The first is a clean extension of these ACA subsidies for 3 years. The other is a 2-year extension with some other pay-fors put in there. Not clear that either of those have the 218 signatures that they need right now. But if they got them in the early part of next year, that would mean that leadership would be compelled to hold a vote on either of them.
But again, there is no guarantee that Democrats and Republican moderates will have the numbers to force a vote. In the meantime, several House Republicans in swing districts are erupting at Speaker Johnson. At the start of this video, I heard Republican Mike Lawler of New York call Johnson's position idiotic and shameful. Well, California Republican Kevin Kiley told reporters that House Speaker Mike Johnson has engaged in a failure of leadership and bullshit. Still, the comments are not swaying Speaker Johnson. And this is the same Republican speaker who helped Donald Trump slash Medicaid funding through the One Big Beautiful Bill, legislation that will cause millions of Americans to lose health care and destroy rural hospitals that serve many of Donald Trump's own supporters. And now, Republicans are going to make insurance coverage more expensive for millions more people, all because the GOP is reflexively against the Affordable Care Act, one of former President Obama's signature achievements. It has been 15 years since the Affordable Care Act passed and became law. Republicans still have not offered any alternative. And now, Americans are going to pay a drastic price. And all House Speaker Mike Johnson can do is shrug. Amazing. By the way, the U.S. economic news continues to get worse. And even Fox Business News is admitting that Donald Trump is sinking the U.S. labor market.
4.6 is probably the number moving the needle right now.
This is the highest unemployment since September of 2021. Carol, you've got the October numbers as well.
We got October non-farm payrolls data. We saw a loss of 105,000 jobs non-farm for the month of October.
Long-awaited data on the labor market showing that the unemployment rate rose to a 4-year high last month. And while the economy did add jobs in November, data shows that there have been job losses in 3 of the last 6 months.
This is a mixed picture of the economy, but I think the trend shows that there is this gradual slowing in the job market. A lot of companies are holding on to their workers, but they're not necessarily confident about hiring new workers. So what you're seeing is more people are now joining the search to look for a job. It's taking them longer to find that job, and in some instances, even to get an interview. Once again, we saw jobs added in construction and healthcare, social assistance, but again, troubling manufacturing, continuing to lose jobs despite President Trump's efforts to boost that industry with telling companies they need to start moving their manufacturing onshore.
Check out that video at the link below. It generated a lot of comments on YouTube. One of the most popular was from Steve, who wrote succinctly, "America is screwed." I hear you. I look forward to reading your comments about Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson blocking a vote on healthcare subsidies and getting blasted by moderate members of his own party. I'm David Shuster. Thanks for joining us.